Now the sound is okay? Is audible? Hello? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Yes, okay, thank you. Oh, thank you. Okay. My name is Abdul Azim. I'm instructor of Ccie. So let's start. Let's talk about the Ccie. Why we need this certification? Why, for example, the Ccie? What is the reason behind that? My friend, can you write down in English, please? Now audio is okay, clear? Let me check the audio. Excellent. Yeah. Okay, so let's start. Please, all of you, my friends, we have later on in the end of the session, before end of the session, we have, yeah, the lecture are in English. Now the sound is, just put 1 minute. Now the sound is okay. Can all of you hearing me?
Yes, we can
Thank
hear
you.
you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's discuss about why CCI. What is the reason behind that? Okay, we need to go for these certifications. Thank you, Mohammed. To go for this CCI certification to get better skills, to get better skills. Better skills means where? In which field? In our particular field. That means, for example, maybe in the network, maybe in the security field, or maybe in the data center field, or maybe, for example, you are working in a service provider field. So if we want to improve our, for example, skills, so this CCI certification for that. Another reason for the CCI certification is getting better job. Getting, because this certificate is one of the top most certificates in the industry. If you, for example, in the industry, if we are in the network or in the security or in the data center, one of the or service provider, one of the topmost certificate is the CCIE in any one of the field, maybe in the service provider, data center, security, and the network. Now, this exam certification depend on the two exams. If I'm going for the CCI first, I should have at least the CCNP core. And after that, I can attend the lab exam. In the core, that means what? For example, if I want to go for the security, if I want to go for the CCI security, that means I should have a CCNP security core. If I want to go to the, for example, the CCI enterprise, so I should have a CCNP enterprise core. The same goes for the service provider and the data center. After this exam, I will directly jump into the CCI lab exam, and the lab exam depend on the 8 hours. The total how many hours? The 8 hours. Earlier we discussed the CCI provide us or get us a better skill as an engineer. Now, better skills means what? We get, for example, highly depth information regarding, for example, particular technology. Like what? Let's talk about the CCI enterprise core, enterprise. That means the network. If we are talking about the network, there are a lot of, for example, technologies. Of course, the layer 2 technologies, that means the switching. Then layer 3 technologies, that means the routing. Of course, CCI enterprise, that means the routing and switching, talk about the security. Then the new technology is SDN. This is the talk of the town nowadays. For last 3 to 4 years, the SDN technology is watch out for every engineer, either the engineers working in the network, either in the security, either in the data center or service provider. This is the SDN. In the SDN, maybe you are familiar with the little bit SDN. In the SDN, we have, for example, a different kind of the solution. One solution is for the data center, one solution for the enterprise, one solution for the WAN. Let's, for example, discuss little bit about, for example, this technology and what we will achieve after the, for example, CCI. You will be in the expert in each and every technology. That means if I take it, for example, let's say switching, so you will be the expert in the switching. If I talk about the routing, either the routing may be the OSPF, either the BGP, for example, either the IP multicast routing. Yes, of course, Rakan. Yes, I think this lecture will be uploaded. I'm not sure. I will check with the management. Yeah. So that means you will be, for example, expert in each and every technology. Like what, for example, in the CCI enterprise, one of the hugely popular technology is the MPLS or MPLS layer 3 VPN. So you will be expert in this technology, the MPLS or MPLS layer 3 VPN. Or we can say, for example, you will be the expert in the IP multicast, for example, routing technology. You will be expert into the, for example, SDN technology. Expert means what? It's not about only the deployment. It's not about only, for example, the configuration. It's about operation. It's about troubleshooting. That means you will be the, for example, expert in the each and every department. That's why in the industry, this certificate is very highly paid certificate. Highly, for example, this is a high status certificate in the industry. Now let me give you, for example, what we will get about this after this certification. Let me give you the one demo. Okay, what we will achieve after this certification. Let's talk about the new technologies. This is a new technology, SDN. Software defined network. Maybe all of you, Shabab, you are familiar with this term, the software defined networking. What is the meaning of this? SDN. That means we are defining the network through the software. Defining the network through the software. What is the meaning of the defining the network through the software? The defining the network means configuring the network, controlling the network. Network means networking devices, managing the network or monitoring the network, troubleshooting the network, and so on. All these through the software. That means the program. Okay, which one? Maybe, for example, here the Python. Of course, this is a new for us as a network engineer, as a security engineer. We are not familiar with the Python. Maybe we have a little bit familiarity of the Python. So this is the Python, or we can get through the GUI, graphical user interface. That means it will appear the dashboard. So that means I am managing all my network through the single centralized dashboard. That means I have a hundred of devices I am managing, I am configuring, I am controlling and monitoring or troubleshooting or design all these things through the single dashboard. In the back end, there is a software, or we can use the script. We can write a script. Now the question again appear in our mind, okay, why I need to manage my network or configure the network or control the network through the software? What is the reason? Because I am, for example, working in the industry around 10 to 15 years. I am a network or security engineer. I am doing everything through the CLI. Mostly we do the CLI. What is the reason behind that? Okay, why should I move on to the software? Why should I learn the Python, for example? This is a new. In the university, maybe for example, we bunk the classes for the software programming classes. Maybe all most of us, because we not, for example, we are not interested in the programming. That's why we enter into the networking, for example. So now, why should I configure the network through the script program? What is the reason behind that? So let's discuss about the traditional network. What we engineers we are doing for so many years till now, or till before 4 to 5 years. Let's talk about this. In the traditional networks, I'm talking about the traditional network. That means without or before SDN, traditional network. In the traditional network, what we do? We configure box by box. We configure what? Box by box. That means device by device. That means, for example, if we have here around 200 switches in my campus network, in my enterprise network, let's say the 200 switches, that means we are configure the 200 switches one by one to access the, for example, login through the SSH. Let's say, for example, you are here the network engineer. Your task is, for example, we have around the 200 switches. And your job is, for example, let's say configure here in all switches, configure, let's say the VLANs. Okay, VLANs from 21 to, for example, the 40. That means we know that okay, this is, for example, the 20 VLANs. So till now, we network engineer, what we do? We are doing the same repetitive task again and again on each and every switch. So the best automation tool we use a notepad. Maybe you agree with me. In the traditional, so we write a VLANs and we edit the notepad and then we copy and paste to each and every switch. That means what? If I want to delete one of the VLAN, let's say for example VLAN number 33 and VLAN number 38, I want to, for example, delete. Delete from who? Delete from the all switches. That means I need to, for example, I need to log into the each and every device to delete this. Of course, one of you, for example, or few of you, maybe you remember or remind me about the VTP. Okay, the VTP, for example, this is belong to the Cisco. All right. What about, for example, I don't have the Cisco, for example, devices. Few devices are not Cisco. So that means we are configuring everything manually, box by box. What happens, for example, what is the disadvantage if I configure manually? The disadvantage is here is take a lot of time. That means it's a time consuming. Point number one. Now look at here. I'm not jumping to the operation team now. It's still not operation. Now we are talking about the only configuration. Time consumed. Another one is what? Chances of human errors. We can make a mistake. We are insan. We can make a mistake here. Right? So the time consuming and the human error. This is the issue in the traditional, for example, networking. That's why, and there are a lot of issues we will discuss one by one. Now, that's why we bring what the solution is what SDN, software defined networking. And we are managing, configuring the network through the software. Then what the SDN offers, how it's work. The SDN decouple, there is this word, the couple, that means the together, the two partners together. Decouple means the separate. Decouple, that means the separate. What the separate? Separate control plane and data plane. The control plane and the data plane. We know that throughout our career, every device, let's say for example, maybe the switch or maybe the, for example, the router, that has a three different planes. Management plane to manage the device, control plane, and data plane.